Hello guys, it's not every day you'll be hearing from me. In today's video, we will have a business analyst answering 5 common business analyst interview questions. Yes, so if you're looking to switch your job, if you're looking to get into the business analyst space, grab your pen, grab your paper, and let's go into the mock interview. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Tomiwa has kindly, agreed to do this mock business analyst interview with us today. So it's interesting because we'll be hearing from a business analyst themselves. Unlike when you're hearing from me, I'm an HR advisor and not a business analyst. I might not know all of the technologies that are being used, but Tomiwa is here today and we'll be asking some questions. So we're going into the interview mode. But before we go into the interview mode, let's give him some chance to introduce himself to all of us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Akitomo Salako. I've been a business analyst in the United Kingdom for the past 2 years and 3 months now. I'm a business analyst supporting them on the development of different software solutions. Yep.
Thank you. So we'll just go straight into the interview mode. My name is Ash, and I'm your interviewer today. Can I meet you, please?
Yes, my name is Akitomo Salako.
Can you confirm the role you have applied for today?
Yes, I've applied for the role of a business analyst.
Thank you. So we'll go straight into the questions. The first question is, using examples, tell me about the business analyst methodologies that you have used.
Okay, yes. Basically, there are 2 main methodologies that we all are familiar with, which is the Agile methodology and the Waterfall methodology. The Waterfall seems to be more of the traditional methods of project management. And why is that? Is because it tends to have a detailed line of process, which has to do with without you completing the first one, you can't move on to the next one. So more often than not, it elongates the lifespan of the project. While in today's software world, where we are building applications here almost immediately after the other, we tend to use more of the Agile methodology. And the Agile methodology as well, we've had some great guys looked at this and said that for you to have a successful project being managed well, you need to actually blend both the Agile and the Waterfall. And why is this? The Waterfall tends to have more detailed requirement gathering session, while the Agile methodology tends to have more of you working on the requirements, and as the stakeholders determined to make any sudden change, you could implement that change without you stopping the work. You just continue with the iteration cycle. And this is one of the things I think I found very interesting in my current role. And then when I joined the company, we were to support with the development of a warehouse management system. And as we got to the process, we designed the requirements, we did all the process map, the as is and the to be process maps to show the clarity of what would be achieved on the end of the project. But as we went in, the developers decided to break the entire requirement into 3 builds. The first build was the first framework of the software of the warehouse management tool. Even though it was an off-the-shelf software that we were using, we still need to design it to suit what we wanted to use it for. So basically, that was the first thing, to set up all the frameworks of that software. Then the second one was to then move in data, migrate data from the old software, which was quite old at that time, and into this new software. And along the line, we found something, because at this point, we're already moving data into this new software. So there was a UAT session, which is user acceptance testing, whereby the current users of the old software were given access to this new environment to test it. it and enjoy and see how it flows and give their feedbacks. And to my surprise, the users were not happy. They said it was frustrating. They couldn't understand the process, not the process. They couldn't understand the steps because it was too cumbersome. A lot of details in one screen. These guys were used to something more straightforward and more intuitive to them, so that when they put in a detail and click on a button, it just takes them to the next screen. But this was more of a lengthy document in front of them. They had to fill everything line by line, and if they don't fill it properly, it doesn't. So based on just the user acceptance of these guys, the team that were using it, we had to stop that project because the users were not happy with that software. And then we designed a new activity, a new set of requirements to substitute for the old requirements and get it to be more user acceptance and user friendly. Along the line, we ended up stopping the project entirely, changing the developers and getting a new product based on the users' feedback. So one thing I learned about in that project is the fact that, yes, even though it was an agile framework whereby we could undo stuff and try to get it right, the user comes first. And that's one of the things about the BA. We need to get their feedbacks. That saved us money because we got the feedback before they even get to the end of the project. Unlike the waterfall framework, you would not stop the project. You would do it up till the end of the project, and whatever cost has been allocated to that project will end up wasting. By the time you are bringing the users to come and test at the end of the project, then they discover that something that happened 2 ways down the line was not done properly. And because of that, no one is going to use that project. So millions of dollars might have gone down the drain without using the Agile framework. And that's one of the benefits of Agile framework. You're able to identify risk and errors on time, and you can then iterate for more stuff to be brought in, more requirements to add on to do those things properly and get a better job at the end of it. So that was one of the examples of which happened where I'm currently working. And it happened on the project, and to the best of my knowledge now, we're able to solve that problem and get them the solution quite better. A better software was designed, which was more intuitive, more interactive with the users, and they're able to use it very efficiently. So it was easy for them to transition from that old software into this because we're able to solve that gap.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. That was really detailed. So the second question is, what methods have you utilized in gathering requirements from stakeholders?
Yes, this is a very, very almost everyday activity for us because the stakeholders are, especially where I work right now, the stakeholders are scattered all over the world. In the United Kingdom, I have stakeholders in the United States, I have stakeholders in Singapore, I have stakeholders in Taiwan, and imagine the time difference as well. So basically, I've set up workshops. I've set up workshops to gather the ones that I could gather in a region together. So because the warehouse, I'm talking about logistics. So we have a depot here in the United Kingdom. I've visited the depot. I went there. The day I was going, I set up a meeting for them to meet in the press room with everyone that was necessary, all the stakeholders that were necessary, the operations guys, the drivers, the logistics, just to understand their issues, because we needed to design the warehouse management system to be able to accept easy pick and pack and be able to push products out of the depots quite fast without missing it and missing the right products when these processes are taken through. So I needed to visit those depots to understand. So the closest to me was the one in London. So I visited the London depot with a workshop. Now, also, I was there to do what we call shadowing. And so one of the main key for me is I need to see the process as it is today so that I can write my requirements clearly and elaborate to the developers, because requirements are funny. If you do not write it as clear as possible, we have what we call SMART: specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and testable. If they are not following that principle, you will have an issue down the line, because the developer will tell you this is what he had while you were saying it. So I do shadowing as much as possible to be able to get the best out of my requirements. Another thing, for the ones that are far away that I cannot visit, especially countries like Singapore, I would love to, but because of the terrain I am in, what I would do is I conduct what we call interview one-to-one on an avenue like this, which is a Teams meeting. We are all on the same network, so it's easy for me to set up a Teams meeting, even if it's going to go down till 10 p.m. my own time, or very early in the morning, 5 a.m. I set up those meetings and try to speak to those stakeholders and do some videos to see what they do, show me around your depots and get understanding of what's happening in the depot. So I don't limit myself to all this. And right now, because the technology world is even taking more of our skills, getting our skills even more efficient is using more of technology. So Zoom calls, there's what we call the whiteboard you can use even while you're doing a Teams meeting. So I take advantage of using good tools. Even while doing Teams meeting, I can open up a board where we're doing brainstorming sessions or brain scribbling, where we're telling people to put something I'm telling somebody to put something on that same whiteboard about what issue they are facing in their own depot. So at this point in time, I'm having a Zoom or a Teams meeting with multiple countries at the same time, as much as possible, aligning the time zones as well, so that I'm not just putting people on a meeting when it's off there. I can stay off my own working hours, but as much as possible, consider them because they are still carrying out their day-to-day activities. So I try to do this. So I use workshop a lot. I do interviews, one-to-one interviews a lot, and I use the Teams to do a lot of brainstorming sessions with these guys as much as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you tell us the difference between a use case and a user story?
Oh, yes. The use case is more often with the systems that we're trying to develop. So, for instance, now, the company I'm working with, when we designed the warehouse management system, it needed to integrate with other systems in the company, which had to do with, now, when I say logistics, there is what we call the booking. The client books a shipment from us to take a product from a particular location to another location. So now when that booking is placed, it's placed in a separate system. We have a booking app that is being used by the customer service team. That system must be able to link to the warehouse management system where we have that this is what I need, the item I need to be shipped out to the client. And that warehouse management system is just capturing all the details we have in the warehouse, when they come into the warehouse and when they go out, what particular shelf in the warehouse it is. So once that booking is coming, it now goes into another system to push it out for delivery, creating the invoice, as the case may be, the pack list and all that. There's another system. So now the use case diagram is a diagram that showcases all these processes and how that moves. Now the user story here is the interesting thing. The user story is capturing each actor in those use cases. Okay, what's this person's need? So for the person creating the booking, what do they need? I, as a customer service representative, I want to be able to log into the booking platform so that I can make a booking. So that's the user story. It has to be very specific to that particular user. The use case is showing up the integrations or the systems that are talking with each other and which of the actors have access to which particular system, so that when we are setting them up, we know who needs to have access to what and who does not need to have access to the next system.
Thank you. Knowing that as a business analyst, you have different stakeholders, tell me about a time when you faced a challenging situation and how you managed to resolve that, especially with your stakeholders.
Oh yeah. So great. My everyday activity is all about talking to stakeholders as much as I want and as much as the project needs. So one thing about me is relationship. So I try to build a cordial relationship with every stakeholder I'm working with. So yes, before we get into any project, I try to have one-to-ones with every of the main stakeholders, because yes, there are different categories of the stakeholders. I've highlighted them, I've identified them, and I've now qualified them. So once I've done my stakeholder qualifications, I'm able to speak to them as much as I can to be able to get the best of what they want on the project, because as a business analyst, I want the best, which is the business value to be gotten for that stakeholder. Now, in case the stakeholder is not happy, I'm also not happy. So I always make sure my stakeholders are happy. And how do I do this? Is by listening clearly to what they have to do, what they want us to do, and taking that information back to the developers. Now, once the stakeholder has an issue, I try as much as possible to elaborate more on that issue they're having. And let me give you an instance. We designed just on this same, there was a second project, the pricing, there's what we call the pricing tool that we use to generate invoices for our customers. Now, this pricing tool, during the testing phase, we introduced this system in a test environment to the stakeholders. And once they are having any issue, I created what we call an issue log, just that I can collaborate and get all their issues clearly stated there. So I don't want anyone saying, oh, I said I have these issues, tell me why you've not fixed it. So there's a document, and that document, we have what we call power hubs that, yes, we've designed. Once an issue is raised in that issue log, it automatically generates an email to myself, and the email comes to me. Once I see that email, I action it almost immediately. Now, there was one situation whereby the issue was raised, we've actioned it, but the developer wasn't coming back with a quick resolution on that. What I then did was to set up a meeting, a collaborative meeting, whereby the developer was on that call and the business user that needed that resolution. And we sat together on that call for like 1 hour to understand why we're getting delays from their side. So as much as possible, when there's a conflict, I try to understand the root cause and narrow it down so that I can bring those responsible for that to be solved on the same table. I set up the meetings almost immediately so that I get them on board and we trash it out. As much as possible, I never leave my stakeholders hanging. I always want them getting their solutions faster.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So this next question is about change management process. And you know that as a business, you've just said it in one of your examples, how you had to stop, a project because of the users, the stakeholders. So how do you manage and mitigate against any resistance during a change management process?
Yeah, just like I said, change is a constant thing, and change is what we always see in the project. And the thing is, even on the current projects we have, every one of the stakeholders really, they love what they do on daily basis. And as I said earlier on, when we're doing this project, when we're doing all of these projects, they were still doing their daily task. So imagine you're now giving them an extra thing to do, or you're setting up a meeting with them. So they already know who I am when I'm coming to them. Now, managing them for a change, we always prepare them ahead of time. So I do not, as much as possible, myself and my project manager, we know this in the company. If we finish a product today, when I say product, a solution is done, the developers are ready, we've tested it, everything is good to go live, we have what we call the hypercare period. The hypercare period is a pilot-phased period whereby we just put it in production environment. The production environment is actually where they should be doing stuff on that system. Now, the production environment will not be really on, but it's just so that we can have some of these users, the business users that are meant to use our system, come into that environment and try things out. So gradually introducing them to the system. Also, we always prepare what we call work instructions, and we also set up a time for training. So we've informed their managers that at this period of time, we need your guys, your business users who are going to use the system, give us 2 hours of their time. Don't give them any other task. We ask for that permission from their lead manager so that they can fully focus on that trading and get the right training to get into the system. So that's how we manage them. And really, during the hypercare period, I always follow up with them. I call it monitoring phase. I monitor their activities, how often they've visited the production environment, what they've done in the production environment. And if they raise an issue, I try to fix it. If not the next hour, it marks 24 hours, I get them a resolution on that issue so that they're excited to use that system on daily basis and they want to stick to using the system. Because if not, all they always want to do is fall back into what they're used to and go back into that old system. And we don't want the money to waste. So I encourage them as much as possible. I'm always on their beck and call. Guys, you need to come into the system. We need to use the system. It's live. It's working. If you have any issues, raise an issue log and I'm happy to respond to you quickly. So that's how we try to manage the change. We get everybody informed as soon as possible and get them a training and get them into the production environment fast.
Thank you. Thank you. So guys, we had Tomiwa Sanako today. He was really kind, come on board to tell us real life examples of a business analyst. And this is very important because the interview stage is an important phase where the interviewers need to know how much of the job you know, and they are really, really concerned because they want somebody that is the right fit for that job. So it's very important. If you found this video useful, please make sure that you like and you share this to people that are business analysts and they can find it useful during their interview process. Thank you. Thank you, Tomiwa. It was nice having you.
Thank you very much for having me.